Hello everybody and welcome back to a type of video that I have not made in quite a long time on this channel, but by popular demand, here we are. Yeah, NHL 21 has a new roster update, and today we're going to talk about it. Now, obviously, my presence in terms of anything to do with rosters really hasn't been there this year. And of course, for those of you who keep up to date with me, you know why. My custom roster file months ago disappeared. Just disappeared. Right at the end of it, by the way, too. Literally, it was, I jumped into franchise mode, tried to get everything set up, and wait, where's my stuff? Gone. Just like that. So, while I've had the temptation to go back through and roster it a couple of times throughout the year, it just, for the most part, it hasn't been there because it's such a long process, in my opinion, to get these rosters into the state that they should be in. So today, obviously, the big news, the likes of Caufield and Spencer Knight added into the game, but essentially what I wanted to do for the first time in a while was just kind of look through the rosters and see what they get right, what are egregious examples of just getting it completely wrong. So that's what we're gonna do. I am gonna look through NHL's rosters for the first time in a while, and immediately I'll tell you one of my biggest pet peeves still is the goalie rating. Stolarz, Miller, Gibson, probably all rated too highly. I know John Gibson's obviously not behind a very good defense or a very good team, but still, yeah. There's a lot of, I could nitpick and be like, hey, Jacob Larson, you want to drop him by 4 points? And you probably should drop him by 4 points, but hey, you know, for the most part, Anaheim, in terms of adding in players, there really hasn't been anybody except for Trevor Zegras. At this point, probably a little bit overrated. Probably. You could afford to drop him, and overall, the potential's fine. For the most part, though, like I said, I could nitpick this, but I'll leave it there. Obviously, ratings I disagree with. Oh, Arizona. Garland's not too bad there. Keller still being a medium elite is, questionable. Wow, Michael Bunting's only a 74. Really? EA, in their pattern of overrating people, including Cole Caufield, by the way, who was a 78 medium elite, they haven't done anything with Michael Bunting. I know he's 25, but man, the guy has 12 points in 19 games with 9 goals. 74. 74. All right, that's incredibly low. You can at least bump them up to a 78, right? Like, you don't necessarily want to overreact, but I'm surprised because they do overreact to a lot of ratings. Swap Ekman Larson, and Chychrun. Bare minimum swap those two. It's ridiculous OEL's higher rated at this stage. Again, Chychrun, I'm pretty sure, still, at this point, is the highest scoring defenseman in the NHL right now. But, yeah, sure, worse than Oliver, Ekman Larson. And then you get the goaltenders, which, I mean, Kemper and Ranta can't stay healthy, but does the durability matter? For Boston, okay. So, look, I love Spencer Knight, right? You know, as a Boston College player, I love Spencer Knight, and he's off to a wonderful start, right? Certainly don't disagree with the potential as a former first-round pick. I agree with that for Spencer Knight. Is an 80 a little bit too high? Maybe. Now, when comparing him to Jeremy Swayman, and look, Jeremy Swayman, I believe, was a third-round pick a couple of years ago. Fourth-round pick, even better. Spencer Knight has played 4 NHL games and has a .919 save percentage. Jeremy Swayman has played 8 NHL games and has a .942. 80 versus a 75. Medium elite, medium star. Like, come on, man. Really? Like, high starter, at least the same overall, if not better. Especially considering Jeremy Swayman was coming off being NCAA Goalie of the Year last year, killed it in the AHL for 9 games, is killing it in the NHL now. That is just flat out disrespectful, EA. Flat out disrespectful. So is that. Charlie McAvoy not being over a 90 is ridiculous. Oh, Dougie, you're biased. Shut your face. God, Mike Riley's only a 79. That's how you know they don't care about advanced analytics because, yeah, Mike Riley is an analytics darling, but for good reason. He's been very good for the Bruins. He should also be an offensive defenseman on the two-way. Oh, goodness. When it comes to the forwards, David Krejci being an 85 is insulting. He's still one of the best two-way player or second line centers, two-way players, playmaker. He's incredible. Oh boy, DeBrusk being ahead of Coyle. Craig Smith is an 80. Craig Smith being below Charlie Coyle and Jake DeBrusk is a slap in the face. Oh my God, no. Craig Smith has 32 points. Craig Smith has more points than Jake DeBrusk and Charlie Coyle combined. Coyle has 16, DeBrusk has 11. Sure. Now you see why I like the roster edit, right? Buffalo, sure. Obviously Hutton's still a bit overrated. Dahlin's looking good. Ristolainen's still pretty overrated at this stage. I don't understand it. I'm just looking at overalls, too. I haven't put a ton of stock into a bunch of potentials. Sam Reinhart only being an 85 is ridiculous. Sam Reinhart's been incredible for Buffalo this season, especially in the absence of one Jack Eichel. Jeff Skinner at 78. It's probably fair, to be honest. It's probably fair. Oh, Tage Thompson, what's your fighting skill? 72, yeah, that's about right. What's Kevin Miller? Hold on. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. What's Kevin Miller's fighting skill? 80! 80! And 80! Are you kidding me? Alright, feel free. And 80! Alright, cool. Whatever. Oh, God. Calgary, Markstrom, maybe possibly a little bit overrated at this stage. Louis Dominguez, definitely. Noah Hannafin being below Mark Giordano. Flip those at bare minimum. Goodrow still being an 88. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, Calgary doesn't appear to have the most egregious examples at this stage. So, I mean, they're doing all right there. Alex Nedeljkovic is only an 81. Really? I know where he was in the age factor, and unlike, say, Spencer Knight, he's not immediately jumping up from the NCAA to do this, so that could be a factor in the overall. But considering Alex Nedeljkovic has a 932 in 22 games, I am shocked that they don't have him higher rated. And based off of how they rate goalies, he should be higher rated. That's absurd. Absolutely absurd. Speaking of absurd, Dougie Hamilton is still below a 90. Slavin, arguably, should still be above a 90. Oh boy, that Carolina defense does not look as impressive as it should. Poor Carolina. H is up to an 84 at this stage, and again, these ratings have probably been there for a while, but still want to talk about them. Chicago. Okay. Look, I like Kevin Lankinen. Kevin Lankinen was off to a really good start this season, right? I do like Kevin Lankinen. At one time, I'm saying maybe he competes with Kaprizov for Rookie of the Year. I know Chicago's not an amazing team, but he has a 908. The argument is, would Nedeljkovic on Chicago be able to do as well, and would Lankinen be able to do on Carolina what Nedeljkovic has done? But the bottom line is, really? 2 overall points higher. Malcolm Subban with the same rating. Okay. All right. Duncan Keith hanging in there at an 84, huh? Brent Seabrook getting the old your deal is done treatment. Although, so why was Seabrook's cap adjusted then? Because I get, okay, we're putting him down to a 70 so that he stays on the roster because he has term left, but obviously Brent Seabrook wasn't making $700K. So is that EA resigning to the fact that if they have Seabrook being paid what he's supposed to be paid, that the team's going to be over the cap? And in which case, then why not just remove Brent Seabrook? Because he's on LTIR, so you might as well. Same with Ryan Kessler. I get they're officially on the roster, but you might as well just get rid of him. I don't understand that at all. Andrew Shaw has not gotten the Seabrook, Kessler, Hossa treat. Why? EA, Jesus. Andrew Shaw is still there for some reason. Again, best wishes to him, I guess, in terms of the retirement. I say, I guess, he's got an interesting legacy. We talked about it on the podcast. Man, there's still some weird ratings. Some very weird ratings in this. Colorado, Dubnyk at an 82. I don't know about that one, Chief. Card an 87. Yeah, I mean, again, there's debates to be had at that stage. Probably not the most egregious examples in the world here, though, for Colorado at least, so that's nice. Columbus, Merzlikins, and Korpisalo, both still at 84. Disagree with that. Jones still being an 87. Disagree with that. What do we got for forwards? Line 8 an 86. Bjorkstrand an 85. Domi being an 82 is, you could argue, overrating him at this stage. But yeah, I see like Brendan Dubinsky's there. Granted, that's not his cap hit as well, so I don't know what the hell they're doing with these players and why they don't just get rid of them. Dallas. Well, I still have an issue with Jake Ottinger. Again, Spencer Knight. Former first-round pick. So is Jake Ottinger from the Swayman draft, as I call it. Much higher potential should be needed. If I'm not mistaken, too, doesn't Jake Ottinger have good numbers this year? Hold on, Stars fans. We're going to do this right. I'm pretty sure Jake Ottinger has good numbers this year. He has a 9.14 in 28 games. So the 80s deserve, but medium fringe. I don't understand it at all. Klingberg at an 87, you could argue those ratings a little bit there, but for the most part, whatever. Sagan at an 89. I would say it's a bit much, but Stars fans will be like, well, he's scoring upon his return. Jason Robertson. For those of you who looked at my editing last year, you'll know I put Jason Robertson at a medium elite. And yeah, turns out I was justified in that. Only a 79. I disagree with that because I know Kaprizov's higher rated. The fact he's not a medium elite, the fact he's not above an 80 overall based off of how they rate things, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Vehemently disagree. Bernier, Grice, Pickard. Oh, Thomas Grice, you troubled man. I mean, again, you can argue some overalls here. There's nothing egregious to me, and obviously we still haven't gotten into any of the new additions. Verona being an 84, I'm surprised that's not higher. And obviously, I mean, it's Detroit. This roster at this stage it's something. It is something. Edmonton. Koskinen and Smith still having the same rating. Nurse at an 87. He should be an offensive defenseman, by the way. His defensive metrics are trash. Same for Tyson Barrie. How he's not an offensive defenseman, I have no idea. Boy, it's almost as if they just spin a wheel. The forwards, McDavid is at least high franchise. Well, you got that one right. Yeah, got that one right. Puljujarvi at 79. Same amount of points as Patrick Laine this year, or at least at a certain stage. Florida, Huberdeau and Barkov are looking good. Sam Bennett's due for an upgrade, EA, don't you think? He's been crushing it ever since he went to Florida. Could argue Mason Marchment might be due for a little bit of an upgrade there, too, only at a 77. Ekblad, sure. Weegar being an 83 is still... I still can't believe they haven't upped Mackenzie Weegar. He's one of the highest scoring defensemen in the league, and he's still an 83? I just don't know what to say to this stuff. Like, man, like I get like at the beginning of the year, but you haven't made changes since. And again, Drieger and Bobrovsky, based off of how they rate goaltenders, I agree with. LA, Peterson over Quick, sure. Doughty still being a 91. I know he's had a better season, but he's still not a 91 anymore. He's just not. Anze Kopitar, congrats on 1,000 points, though, by the way. And you get into some of the other ratings here, and again, you could debate potentials and such, but for the most part, that's looking fine. Minnesota, Capo Kakkonen at an 84. Again, medium starter, though. I don't know. Talking about a real Rookie of the Year candidate there. Cam Talbot at an 83, the Hamburger at a 77. It's fine, I guess. Probably overrated for him. Jared Spurgeon only being an 85. I don't know what it is, but like Brodin not being higher, Spurgeon not being higher, Dougie Hamilton not being higher, Mackenzie Weegar. Like, I don't know what it is. Especially in the case of like Weegar and Spurgeon, where you know they're going to have the point totals too to back up the fact that they're good. So it's like, what are you looking at to decide these ratings? Nobody knows. Again, Kaprizov at an 85 medium elite. I agree with it. You know, I mean, he's been phenomenal. You could argue an 85 might be a little bit much because, you know, it does kind of boost up some attributes that probably don't need to be boosted, but that is an entirely different debate. Parise and Bonino just offhand look like they're probably a little bit low, but that's not surprising. Montreal, nope. I mean, you knew I was going to mention it. Obviously, Carey Price is not a 90 overall anymore. Defensively, I'm surprised Weber's ahead of Petrie. Gustafsson probably shouldn't have that rating anymore. He should also be an offensive defenseman. I genuinely don't know how they decide these player types. And, of course, it's a shame that, you know, once a rookie gets added in throughout the year, they don't get a player picture until the next game. Romanov, no picture. Gotta love it. And then for the forwards, I mean, for the most part, you can agree with these. Suzuki still only being a medium top 6 is insane. Toffoli being below Drouin. I know Drouin's been better, and best wishes to Drouin, of course, but I don't know about that one. I don't. And then, of course, Cole Caufield is in the 78 medium elites. Honestly, they could have made his shot even better and probably taken down some of the defensive awareness. But hey, at least he's a sniper like he should be. My God, his shot's unreal. Nashville, Forsberg, Granlund, Duchesne down to an 83. Or he might have already been in an 83. Again, it's been a while since I've taken a look here, but yeah, I mean, that seems about right for Nashville. Just a whole bunch of meh. Ryan Ellis being an 86 is a joke. It should be much, much higher. Much, much higher. Jeremy Davies as well with that potential. I feel like it's getting shortchanged. UC Saros only being an 83 is an absolute joke. You know, I know he wasn't the best goalie throughout the entirety of the year, but he has almost single-handedly dragged Nashville to the stage where they're probably going to make the playoffs over Dallas. He has a 927 in 35 games this year. Yeah, that's a joke. New Jersey, Blackwood, Dell, Wedgwood, probably all a little bit overrated at this point, maybe. I mean, Blackwood's been hurt quite a bit this year, but Ty Smith, only a medium 4, huh? With how he's played this year, he was in the rookie conversation at one point, too. I'd definitely give him a higher potential than that. Heischer, Jack Hughes. Man, it's painful. It is painful. Sharon Govich is there. But yeah, it is actually very, it's distressing to me to look through stuff like this and just be like, how, why is this the way? Varlamov at an 86. I mean, I love Tuukka Rask and think Tuukka Rask is great still, but I don't know, Tuukka being a 90 while Varlamov, who has been incredible this year, only being an 86, I don't know how that sits with me. I don't know. Letty, Pollock, Pellick, I mean, there are definitely some overalls I disagree with here as well. Of course, they gave Johnny Boychuk the your career's over treatment. Pajot only an 82, Palmieri an 82. Have to look more into that, but that just doesn't seem proper. Wahlstrom gets a high top 6, but some of these other guys don't. I like Wahlstrom a lot. I mean, obviously, as a Bruins fan, you know, it's like I knew about Wahlstrom since he was like 8, 9 years old because he had that crazy highlight reel goal as a kid. And that was shown on Nesson in like, God, 2010. Rangers, I mean, again, it might be a little bit high at this stage, but okay. Probably some overratings. We have seen some awful ratings for defensemen. This might take the cake, Rangers fans. I think you have a reason to be pissed. This might take the cake. Adam Fox not being at least a 90 in a medium elite is an absolute joke. Again, based off of how they rate things, you could maybe justify the 85 if you had different ratings for players, but that is a joke. That is an absolute joke. Well, speaking of absolute jokes, but no, that's brutal. Absolutely brutal. They got Zach Jones in the game, too, at a 75, medium 6, which I'd agree with. I think that's fair for a former third-round pick. Maybe go like high 6 based off of how he had played before, but wow, that Adam Fox rating is horrible. Panarin's fine, Spanachad's fine, Bushnevich did nothing wrong. Lafreniere at an 82. It's fair on how he's heated up a little bit this season. I'm surprised Kravtsov is only a medium 6, but I'd say that's kind of fair at this stage. That Adam Fox rating is bad. Murray, Forsberg, Hogberg. I mean, Murray's been up and down this year. I wouldn't cry about a lower rating. Zaitsev at an 8. Zaitsev's an 82. Okay. Artem Zub. I know Zaitsev hasn't been brutal, but it's kind of like this guy is a factor, if I'm not mistaken, Sens fans. Bernard Docker is in I agree with that. That's fair. Again, you could argue maybe like a high 4 because of how good he's been. And then good old Victor Mete. Ottawa's not looking that bad. Don't feel like Dadonoff's been that good this year. But, I don't know, maybe he's heated up a little bit. Stützle, Batherson. I'm surprised Batherson doesn't have a slightly higher rating either. He's been pretty good. Pinto is in, 77 medium top 6. So, hey, for the most part, these guys that they're adding in do at least have close to proper potentials. Like, I really thought with Shane Pinto would be like a medium top 9 or something like that. Carter Hart, obviously slightly overrated at this stage. I still agree with the potential, but that rating's got to come down. Sanheim's rating probably has to go up. Yeah, there's some rough overalls and potentials here. That is for sure. I still can't believe the Flyers didn't make the playoffs. Like, what a brutal season, from cup contenders to not even making the playoffs. Wade Allison only on a medium top 9. That's one that I'm like, he could probably be higher than that, but what are you gonna do? Pittsburgh, Jarian DeSmith, based off of how they rate goalies, that's fine. John Marino, like, look, I know he hasn't been, or at least at the start of the season, wasn't as good as he was last year, but fucking really? 81 low 6. Good God. And Cody Ceci, to be honest, in terms of his defensive play, probably deserves a higher rating than a 79 at this stage. Probably does. Oh, man. Just so much of that is absolutely brutal. It really is. That's just going to be the theme of this video, trust me. I'm well aware, as are you at this point, based off of how this has gone. Oh, man. Pittsburgh and your 1,000 forwards because you guys can't stay healthy. Martin Jones is at an 80. He should probably still be lower. Burns, Carlson. I think this dude just scored his first goal. Oh, San Jose. San Jose. I mean, for the most part, there's nothing overly egregious. Barabanov probably deserves a higher rating, but what are you going to do? St. Louis, Binnington at an 86. Controversial at this stage, and that's not just me saying it as a Bruins fan. I've heard nothing but complaints about him pretty much all season long from Blues fans. Billy Husso being a 77 is a joke. He's one of the worst goalies in the NHL. Parayko lower than Krug. Don't know how I feel about that. Tarasenko being an 89. I mean, O'Reilly's still great. That's fine. I think you could probably drop Mike Hoffman a little bit, especially in terms of defense. Of course, Alex Steen. I guess they do just switch over the cap. Like I said, why not just remove those players at that point? Bassey's unreal, which is the right call. Hedman. I mean, Hedman's unreal. You could argue even that's a little bit much. A little bit. Again, the analytical side of things. It's not completely one-sided in his favor of just being so stupidly elite. Anthony Cirelli only being an 84 is still an absolute joke. An absolute joke. I keep forgetting Marian Gaborik is still technically with the team. Freddie Anderson at an 88 should probably go down. I'm shocked Campbell's only at an 80 with how he's played. Really? Okay. All right. Morgan Riley not being an offensive defenseman, I don't know how. TJ Brody not being higher rated, I don't know how. Man, some of these, man, just brutal. Brutal. There's really no other way to explain it. Shout out to Scott Sabourin. Vancouver, Demko and Holtby. Holtby might still be a tad bit much. I know he's played better recently. Tyler Myers at an 83. I don't know about that one. Oh, man. Well, you know, for the most part, I think we got to all the new players at this stage, too. Hey, look, it's someone who shall not be named anymore. God. Even now, it's like I look at this and I'm like, would I want to roster it? And it's like at this stage, probably not. Probably just wait until next year because, again, there is just so much work to be done here. It's unreal. Stone, Pacioretty, I mean, these are guys that could argue for a higher rating. Theodore not having a higher rating is a bit much, EA. Fleury having an 89, that was fair. He's one of the best goalies of all time. Hank not having his overall lowered to replicate the fact that he didn't play this season is pretty surprising. Very surprising, even. Shout out to Big Z, still rocking an 84. No V Backstrom, Kuznetsov. Interesting character there. What's your discipline rating, Tom? 65. I could probably put that a little bit lower. I don't think anyone would complain. And then Winnipeg. Hellebuck might be a bit much at this stage. Eric Comrie is best friends with whoever the hell has the ratings because he's always been overrated in this game. And I do not understand how in the world that works out that way. Might be some overratings here on Winnipeg too. So yeah, for the most part, it's not good. It's not good. Free agent list, of course, Bufflin's still there. Like, just move him to the all-time Jets team, and that way if someone wants to put him there, sure, but he's retired, basically. Why is he still there? It doesn't make sense. God help me, I'm not going through the AHL and junior at this stage, or at least not in depth, but I was intrigued by some of these ratings, but some hits, a whole lot of misses. I feel like that sums it up pretty well. For those who aren't incredible sticklers, then hey, you know, it'll get the job done. But yeah, in terms of me roster editing at any point this year, I'd probably say no. We'll probably wait until next year, and fingers crossed, the magical words roster editing, fingers crossed, those end up, you know, that feature actually ends up in the game. That would be incredibly nice. But yeah, right now, I can't even imagine really playing a franchise mode aside from like the Buffalo one that we're doing just to dick around, because it does bother the ever-loving hell out of me.